Well, let's start in a time long ago, at an orbiting arena on the threshold of space, where every single superhero on Earth had been involuntarily gathered to be in the contest of champions, hosted by the gambling addict known as the Grand Master, who was going against his opponent, the Unknown. So Wolverine was placed on the team of the Grand Master, while the Black Panther was on the opposing team, with Earth's survival at stake. Moreover, the 5'3" Canadian, weighing at 300 pounds of muscle with adamantium steel alloy skeleton, everybody's favorite berserker mutant, the ultimate weapon, Wolverine, made the first move against the 6 foot, 200 pounds of muscle, added with receipts of being the greatest tactical mind on Earth and the most dangerous man alive, Mr. Vibranium himself, the Black Panther T'Challa. Fascinatingly enough, Wolverine will have the upper hand on the king until the fight, which only Wolverine took serious, was interrupted by Ben Grimm, also known as the Thing, who he, along with T'Challa, felt there was another way to save the world than by ripping each other's body apart, which caused the first round to be technically indecisive. But 1 point still goes to Wolverine for putting T'Challa on his back. Okay, now let's move on to a great time later, when the X-Men detected a dangerous new type of mutant not based on Homo sapien in the unstable country of Naganda that borders Wakanda. So during the investigation, the X-Men would eventually make their way within a secret installation stronghold, only to encounter T'Challa already inspecting the facility. However, a minor misunderstanding between the X-Men and the Panther would occur when the chief scientist, Eric Payne, from the laboratories in Genosha, tricked the X-Men into thinking T'Challa was the bad guy attacking him, when in actuality, Eric was the mad scientist experimenting on Ugandans after bribing the country's leader, M'Baku. So Wolverine made it his business to step up to the former king of Wakanda, only to be the first one to get flipped backwards to his starting point, but not thinking before acting. Fortunately, the confusion will eventually get cleared up, but at the expense of the scientists successfully getting away. Unsurprisingly, not long after, they will be seen together, kind of teaming up while battling one of Eric's freaks of nature, because T'Challa was more focused on taming the creature rather than ending its existence, which Wolverine was aiming for, but subsequently decided to comply with the Panther, allowing him to try and domesticate the beast, which he inevitably did, and later use it to help the X-Men finally defeat Eric, who prior built a latent mimicking ability into his own nervous system that he could trigger on touch to copy any superpower, much like Rogue's ability. Okay, now let's move on again, with Mr. James Logan Howlett, that's Wolverine's real name in case you didn't know, was on hot pursuit of a hive-minded, virus-like entity from the microverse that desires nothing less than the infection of the entire human race. Wolverine would track the sentient virus to Wakanda, where he caught a sky uppercut from the Demisa Sarki, which means the Panther, after attacking him. When Wolverine was discovered secretly entering the country and scouting the facility, the bioterrorist mutant called the Host, who could kill the virus, was imprisoned and placed in suspended animation. Interestingly enough, Wolverine's aggression towards T'Challa was basically to see if he was already infected. So Wolvie went on to push at T'Challa's emotions by questioning him about the woman they both love, Aurora Monroe, famously known as Storm, to see if the sentient virus would react to things T'Challa actually cared about. Nevertheless, a battle would ensue, with Wolverine, who was temporary without his healing factor. Read 2013's Wolverine if you want to know how. Once again attacking T'Challa, who was 2 steps ahead of him in a battle that was more of an exercise for both parties. Nonetheless, T'Challa was proven not infected, and Logan's plans that served 2 purposes, the other being to distract the Panther while his team took the imprisoned mutant, which T'Challa revealed he was aware of the whole ploy and already had his own plan set in motion, pretty much ending in a point for T'Challa since he got the best of Wolverine. Okay, now let's move on again and again to a day unlike any other, when Earth's mightiest heroes found themselves united against a common threat, the Fury cosmic entity known as the Phoenix Force, who arrived on Earth in search of its next host. When it teleported several of the Avengers, 2 being T'Challa and Wolverine, along with other heroes and villains, together to be pitted against one another, while being empowered with the Phoenix Force to determine the strongest and baddest SOB. Now, give me a hell yeah! That was worthy to harness its power. So if you didn't guess it by now, in the city of Chernobyl, Phoenix T'Challa will be fighting Phoenix Logan in one of the most monumental battles in Marvel Comics history that saw 2 of our favorites, now non-omnipotent powerful cosmic entities that represent the life, death, and rebirth cycle, as well as being the nexus of all psychic energy ever to exist, fight for supremacy for their own ulterior motives. When suddenly Phoenix T'Challa began to experience overload from the sheer power, the force was unusually continuously pumping within him, which momentarily gave Wolverine the upper hand, until he surprisingly received a low blow to the cojones. that turned the tide of the battle back to Phoenix T'Challa, who revealed his whole body, including his teeth, is covered in vibranium that prevented Phoenix Wolverine from unsheathing his third adamantium claw through his mouth. Since in actuality, in general, Wolverine has to exert effort to keep his claws out and not the other way around, which subsequently ended in T'Challa becoming victorious in our final round. Nevertheless, their friendship will still remain intact, even though it was never in jeopardy in the first place.